And we're rolling.
All right. Well, another week in the can. And this time around, for our lunch, we went and did Five Guys. I can't quite remember how we got there, though. We were talking about it. I know you weren't consulted on this, Graham, because you weren't going to be there.
Yeah, because I thought I was going to be tied up at the VA for the most of the day.
But we ended up landing at Five Guys, and I think while we were there, they slipped something in Ken's burger. I think they roofied Ken.
I'm still feeling the effects of that.
He did kind of snowball the time we were there because it wasn't real evident when we first arrived, but as I guess where we were sitting there eating lunch, it was just getting worse.
Oh yeah, it just progressively got worse.
It's either that or it's social media overload. You know, that feeling when there's so many things rolling up on you and you get all caught up in what's going on in social media.
Right.
That I get mentally and physically upset to an overload point.
Right.
That's why I don't look at the shit y'all do.
No, but you look at some weird shit that we don't look at. Will tell you that. Yeah, I mean,
you bring some interesting stuff to the table. The song choices that we were discussing.
We could talk about it. We could talk about a bike ride, but that would get us banned forever.
Yeah, we are banned.
So we don't want a lifetime ban.
But I did enjoy your music topics when we were at Five Guys. The guys are singing about the 7-incher.
Oh, you talk
What was the name of that group?
Them Evils.
That's
man.
it.
That's my new new music find here. Them and I've been on this hunt for new music, and I stumbled across them because they have this kind of classic rock, and it's this classic rock with some 80s stuff and some 90s detuned thing. The only thing I was listening to it last night where I was going to say that because we're in the age of apps and things like that.
Right.
The one thing I noticed is all of the vocals for a good portion of the bands I was listening to, I was like, fuck, it's almost like it's the same singer, but it's not. But if you go back to like music editing and stuff like that, if you start tweaking here and there, if you're trying to go for a sound, well, really, if you think about it, it's just a filter away.
Right.
But for the most part, it was. I
actually went home and listened to a couple of the songs. It was good music choice. I thought you had a good music choice. The lyric content's pretty funny though.
This particular song was called "She Got Nothing," and it's a jamming song, but the lyrics are hysterical.
They were. That was funny. That was the one that I actually went home and listened to, and it cracked me the fuck up, man. That was good stuff. But speaking of short circuiting and sensory overload. Did any of y'all catch the Democratic Socialist Convention?
I did. So in the morning I have a routine. I get up and have a cup of coffee. I sit on the porch and I go take a dump.
Yeah.
So that video,
it's a cleansing.
It was like the most. First of all, I thought it was a joke.
Yeah, I thought it was too. I thought it was a Saturday Night Live.
It was the most ridiculous bullshit I've ever seen in my life. It was just. When people call each other comrades
and mint it,
yes,
and mint it. It
yeah,
wasn't a joke.
I was like, oh fuck, I woke up on another planet.
It was like a term of endearment. But I will say this: thanks for posting it on your page.
Oh, we loved it.
But my little, I found several rabbit holes to chase because of that thing.
Did you?
And now I became a member of several of these Facebook pages.
So you're in there to troll.
Yeah.
Right,
I've got new targets.
You're my hero.
It was such a comedy listening to these dudes.
So how it started, the video starts with this little girl. She's probably 4'9", and she's standing up there fighting the power. She's I guess she's counting the moments of the meeting. And I can't tell if it's counting the moments from the last meeting or counting the moments from this meeting, what they're leading into. But she ends it with, "And thank you, comrades." And at the ending of her speech, they have a floor microphone. And you have a guy in this black T-shirt with the white fist on it. Basically, it's the Fight the Power T-shirt. And he stands up and he says, point of privilege. I can't remember his name. We're just going to use this one. Bill Johnson. He, she.
Yeah.
Or he, him.
He, him.
He, him. So he's naming the pronoun of who or what he's supposed to be. So he says, he, him. I just like people to calm the whispering down. You're giving me sensory overload. I can't concentrate. And the guy was beside himself in the fact that he couldn't concentrate on what was being said in the meeting. And I'm thinking to myself, now you're a revolutionary group. and you're going to take over the world.
And
You can't even handle somebody chattering in the background,
and you can't focus.
Exactly. Lots of luck to you, pal.
I'm going to say that dude's walking point.
So if he was in New York, they'd have said, "Folk us." How about "folk you"?
Yeah.
That's how that would have been handled in New York.
I was highly entertained by this guy. And he gets up and he did it twice. That was the best part of it. You know, he stood up the first time. He gives his he, him, and he says, "Guys." And in there he says, guys, I really need you to cut out on the chatter and the background noise. And instantly, and I didn't realize this was a thing, you see these hands go up all over the auditorium, and they're waving them in the air. I'm like, what the hell? Is this like some sort of spastic trigger, or what are we doing here? I found out that clapping makes these people nervous. That's why they don't clap. Clapping is an aggressive sign. I had no clue. Clapping is a sign of aggression.
So golf is an aggressive sport then?
Apparently so. It's a contact
sport.
It's a contact sport. We never knew, but here we are with golf as a contact sport now.
So we can rule out that firearms may be the weapon of choice.
Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking so. Some clapping.
I think just the fact that people have hands that they're offended by.
But so he stands up and he says, guys, and he's trying to get their attention. And immediately you see this...
Yes, I know which one you're
person with pink hair.
Yes.
And at first you think, wonder what that lady's problem is. So she stands up and it's like, wow, that's a big lady. And then all of a sudden it walks to the mic and she goes, I can't handle this gender pronouncing. I can't believe you people are gender pronouncing. Can we not gender pronoun? And everybody melts down at this point over gender because the guy said, guys. It triggered her. I could not believe it. And hands go up all over. They call it jazz handing.
Yeah.
I had no clue.
What's funny is you just called that person a her.
Shim, whatever, shmam. Anyway, whatever you want to be called.
That
Schmeagle, I don't know.
But the thing is like there were so many people, not only just the first one who got up and said, "Hey, I can't focus because there's all this whispering going on."
Yeah.
But when I was listening to the post that one of the other guys on the page posted, there were other people that were getting in on this mic doing the whole point of privilege, whatever.
Oh, it was a joke.
Who were all saying the same thing. I can't focus. I can't. I was like, if this is
this is an Adderall commercial, man.
If this is an army, I absolutely want this to be my opponent right now.
Talk about a win in like a 5-second win.
You would just have to. Can you just see a group of people? You hear clapping, you don't see them, and all of a sudden they crest the mountainside or the hillside, and as they're clapping, these guys turn around and run for their lives in the Naruto run.
Yeah, exactly. Got their arms flailing behind them.
We can't take
Do
it.
y'all
We quit.
know what an extermination looks like?
Well, at least a quick one anyway.
Yeah, I was like, there is no Naruto running.
That's funny.
You
can run, but you can't hide.
It was very exciting. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Most comical thing I'd seen yesterday. That was hilarious.
Good times. Well, speaking of crazy, we can go ahead and continue that up with a MSNBC interview that we all happened to witness as well. I don't think you saw a whole lot of this, Graham, but me and Ken kind of paid attention to it. It's the MSNBC interview. It was Brian Williams.
Oh, God.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
I was there.
I was there.
Yeah.
I was there. So he interviews this guy, and he's got a funny sounding Italian name. He sounds like one of the guys that betrayed the Corleones in Godfather.
Okay.
Fizzolini
or something
Fizzolini.
like that. Yeah, we'll call him Fizzled Weenie.
Fizzled
Weenie.
Fizzle Nuts gets on there. Yeah. And he starts explaining to Brian Williams how he's got proof now that Trump is a white supremacist or a signal or a dog whistle for white supremacists everywhere.
And I honestly, I fell out of my chair when I saw this.
Yeah, it was entertaining. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I thought, I know. Yeah. You called me up and you're like, check this out. And I'm like, what is this? Sure enough, this guy gets on there. He's like, I've got proof that Trump is this dog whistler for white supremacists everywhere.
Dog whistler. Is that like a term?
Yeah, I think they made a movie.
Silent whistle that only dogs can hear.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
So anyway, he gets on there and he's got this proof, right? And he starts laying out the case to Brian Williams, and Brian Williams is just eating it all up. He's like, "Oh yeah, this is the real deal. You've got him now." The guy starts explaining that when we had the mass shootings on last week here in El Paso, that Trump commanded that the flags be raised to half-mast.
Or lowered.
Yeah,
lowered.
Lowered, I'm sorry. Lowered to half-mast till 8/8 of 2019. And the guy goes, here's where we've got him. The numbers 8 and 8 are
well, the number H, the letter H is the 8th letter in the alphabet.
It is.
fucking
It
numerology
is. But
bullshit.
he starts going into this
And then when you have them
stuff.
side by side,
Yeah, so you had 8/8, which corresponds with the letter H in the alphabet.
Yes.
And he goes,
I'm-
everyone knows that stands for Heil Hitler.
Yeah, I wasn't even gonna say it. Just that's such fucking bullshit.
it's the stupidest shit I've ever heard. And it's amazing though, is that this guy gets mic time.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not just mic time. You know, I was talking about social media overload at the beginning, and that's what's going on right now.
Yeah.
These guys know that if they overload you with all this kind of horse shit, that a lot of people are gonna. It sets you off on other subject matters. You can hear anything that's related now to that, and you're gonna go, oh, it's that whole HH.
It's a whole HH thing, man. Anytime you see 88.
Well, it worked, but it worked. So it worked on Roseanne Arquette. I know
It did.
I
She
know.
felt guilty.
She felt guilty about being born white into white privilege.
Yeah,
and here's the problem: she wasn't her daddy. If it wasn't for their daddy,
Yeah.
none of those people would have had a career.
She
They
definitely
would not-
makes her brother look smart.
She
does, yeah.
He's
Who
the
was
smart
her
one in
dad?
the family.
It's I forget his name. It's another Arquette, but he played in movies back in the days, like Humphrey Bogart days. That the old movies, Gary
Okay.
Cooper days, all that stuff like that.
like silent film type shit.
Well, some of it probably was, yeah.
Okay.
And, but I don't know. Go on.
No,
'Cause
it's unbelievable that they carried that interview for as long as they did because they ate it up. It's like, wow, let's just keep running with this. This is a real deal.
Well, I don't even know how you sit down one morning when you get up and get your coffee and go, you know what? I feel guilty for being me.
I'll tell you how it happens. I'll tell you exactly how it happens. All this shit that's going on TV and radio and Twitter and Instagram, all the social media, everybody wants to be a part of it and they want to be a relevant part of it. So they go, what can I stretch to make myself relevant again? Because when's the last time you saw Arquette in a movie?
Yeah, like never.
Long freaking time ago.
Yeah.
What do actors and actresses that can't get a job do? They become an activist.
Exactly. Well, just to get hey, this might get me some screen time somewhere.
Exactly,
Might give me a
somewhere.
script.
Yeah, I got a personal manager. How come that bitch ain't working harder for me?
Well,
Get me on MSNBC now.
I guess
I got some numbers.
My rhetorical question was
My
more
psychic
along
told me this shit this morning. I got to get it out.
my rhetorical question was more along the lines of how do you arrive at that? But yes, being a celebrity, you're going to look for vehicles to raise your celebrity stock,
And that's all they're doing. And it's the most popular. So you jump on a wave. So when things are trending, you jump on the wave and you ride the shit out of it. You ride it into the beach. I hope they crash into a bunch of coral, but that's just me. But I mean, we have a list here of just
we had a good list.
crazy
Like
people of this
Celebrity Week.
crazy shit they've said, just because I don't know. I mean, I get lost for words sometimes because for me it all started with the whole Rob Reiner thing.
Meathead.
Yeah, meathead. Anything that Trump is for, he's against. And he doesn't make any good points or any case for anything.
Yeah. When's the last time that guy made a movie? Has he made a movie?
He spends more time behind the camera.
Yeah,
Does
he's
he?
producing,
Yeah.
directing.
Yeah, he's probably, I don't know, did y'all, that movie called The Hunt that they have coming out?
That's right. I forgot
That
about
people
that.
are hunting deplorables. Well, I don't know if he's tied to it.
Yeah.
But I guarantee
But how
he's
we tell
pissed.
the story.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, he's probably pissed that he didn't come up with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so supposedly it's these people that hunt.
It's elite.
Yeah.
A liberal mindset that controls large corporations.
Yep.
And they have land that is set up to hunt deplorables on.
And they basically kidnap them, hog tie them, ball gag them, whatever it is
Yeah.
they do. Yeah.
So here's what's funny about that whole thing. So when I read it the night it was like 2 or 3 nights ago when I saw it come out, that when they pulled the trailers for it was pulled in respect for the shootings that were that happened in El Paso
That's what I said.
and Ohio. And I'm like, oh my God. So you pulled this movie because of the shootings that happened in these two locations that just kind of coincidentally happened at this time, and not because of the content of the movie.
Yeah.
The movie content was okay,
but we're not going to shoot them right now.
Here's what's funny. So when they interviewed movie executives about this, they're like, well, it's satire. So when asked,
right,
well, what are some of the examples of the satire we should expect to find in this movie? Not one example could be provided.
Oh no,
to find so how do you call this?
I did not know that.
How do you call this satire? But yet you can't tell me where the satire begins.
Right. Yeah,
really. So just
what it basically amounts
answers.
to is they were all sitting in a room stoned.
Yeah,
and they're going, dude.
Hey man, you want to shoot some? I want to shoot some Trump supporters, man.
Yeah. I don't know how to do it, but let's write a script for it. So what I think is really sad about this is that these folks, these progressive liberal intellect movie people, script writers, executive producers, and the assholes that fund them, they all sit back and they jump on the bandwagon about bullying is bad, racism's bad, murdering people is bad, yet they produce content that promotes selecting somebody out of a particular group that isn't them,
right,
and then violently taking them, hunting them down, and killing them for pleasure.
They're the first one to go to the well on it.
Every time. But yet they're also the first ones to stand in line about these shootings.
Exactly.
They're
going to teach you. They're going to tell you, look, they're going to stand up there and preach to you. These are bad. This is bad. You're promoting hate.
It's
Let
just
me promote
art.
some hate.
It's just art,
Yeah, but it's just art.
I tell you what, I'll fight you for it. I'll fight you for it.
I don't know. I'm just. So for me, after about 3 days of just watching, reading, and responding to some of this stuff, I've just come to the conclusion that this wave will also pass. Because I went back in time and I was looking back in time when Timothy McVeigh did what he did.
Right.
And I was reading some of the memos that came out. And I don't know, y'all remember, but there was a memo leaked by the law enforcement because they thought it was very detrimental and dangerous to society, where Janet Napolitano, through the Department of Homeland Security, wrote a memo talking about returning veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan being radicalized as white supremacists. Okay. Now, I will tell you, there are cases where NCIS and NCIC and all the other investigative groups have found that a lot of guys joined the military that were radicals.
Yeah, before, but they were radicalized before.
They went in there to learn and get out to do stuff. And a lot of the theft rings are busted up, involve those guys. But that's also, you can say that about Islamics. You can say that about anybody.
Yeah. Cartel. I mean,
Cartel does it all the time.
Cartels were joining the military there.
Absolutely. For a while. And if you didn't want to join, just call the CIA. They'll train you. And they'll fund you, and they'll give you money, and the president will act like he didn't see it.
Yeah.
And throw guys like Oliver North under the bus and walk away scot-free.
It's good to know that our tax money goes
so
worthy causes.
it's a vicious cycle, folks. And what's really sad is they're getting mad at the wrong group of people.
Right.
If it wasn't for the people that believed in this country and believed in the Constitution, knew what the rights were all about, got up and went to work every day, paid their taxes, took their families to church or whatever they do, made sure that their kids had an education, and at least had a stable lifestyle, you'd kind of understand that you're on the wrong side of this thing if you're arguing the way they're arguing right now.
Right.
I mean, when you want chaos and utter disrespect and total disruption, I mean, I sent a list to the Attorney General, and I sent a list to the governor of all the things that we were talking about, in the sense of Tom Arnold saying that he fantasized about standing over the dead body of Donald Trump Jr.
Yeah.
And all these people that come out and said they want to punch the president in the face, slash him in the face, burn the White House down,
Madonna,
murder their
Ashley
supporters.
Judd.
I'm like, and then you wonder, so you single out these kids that hear what you say.
Yeah.
And they feel like, I want to connect to you because they're following you on social media. I don't care what anybody says. It's blame it on drugs, blame it on video games. I don't care what it is. These little bastards go out there and they do the most heinous, unforgivable crimes on the planet. And instead of addressing that, you victimize a political party you don't agree with.
Right.
That's a bunch of horse shit. Because honestly, if it wasn't for us, you fuckers wouldn't be making movies. You wouldn't have the chance to live where you live, and you wouldn't have the chance to be free to talk the shit you're talking.
Well, not only that. I mean, let's really step it back and step back and look at this. how many rational conversations have you had with somebody with political
They
views
won't have
opposed-
them. They want to
Exactly.
argue at you.
Exactly. I mean, it's almost unheard of
Yeah.
to be able to debate.
It's rage and anger, dude. That's all they want to do is attack you.
Right. It becomes personal. It never stays to the substance of the matter. And generally, it's because one side or the other, I'm not going to name which one's which, but I think we all know, one side has substance and the other has none. So when you have no substance at the end, if your argument's defeated, all you have left is to lash out at the person.
Sure.
So I think that's how you end up where you're at.
The thing about like socialism or this agenda that they're pushing is, let's just say hypothetically that 20 years ago, socialism had been put into practice.
Okay.
The movies, any kind of business from that point forward, we wouldn't be where we're at right now if socialism was the day-to-day operation.
So what you mean they wouldn't have the freedom to do that? Oh, absolutely not. Yeah.
That's the part that's crazy is they think that it's that the grass is greener on the other side.
Socialism's never for the socialist. Socialist is for the people.
Yeah.
Socialism's for the people.
Right.
Socialist is never for the socialist. The socialist always benefits. They're always at the top.
I mean, there are
of the food chain.
lots of examples out there of where you can see where socialism has. I'm not going to say it's failed. It's just a way of life. And if you go talk to those people that live in those places, none of them will ever trumpet.
They're all trying to get
its
here.
benefits. Yes. So that's the crazy part.
Yeah. Well, when you're the land of opportunity, and it's like being a cattle rancher, okay, or growing up in the agricultural world. If you have bad stock, and you continue to breed bad stock, you have a bad herd.
Right.
Okay. So the premise of that is to improve your stock.
Right.
Okay. And you have to be careful because with society, education is what the game is right now, and the lack thereof is the real problem. I was talking to a friend the other day about engineering education along the engineering lines. And I have a friend that I grew up with back home. His father grew up on a very poor farm during the Depression. He went from first grade or kindergarten to 8th grade, graduated 8th grade. He ended up working for the electrical co-op, the rural electrical co-op. How they run them in the Midwest is their big co-ops.
Yeah.
They do it in East Texas.
Yeah, they do it. Yeah, same thing. And so they work in conjunction with the Corps of Engineers in transmission of power from source to the home. He worked there for many, many years, and he designed a tower, a load-bearing tower system that carries massive high-voltage high lines back and forth that's still being used today.
Wow.
Graduated with an 8th grade education.
That's amazing.
Okay? But if you go back to the year he graduated and take the test these kids took, dude, you couldn't get a high school senior to pass it.
Oh, yeah.
Because we were talking
about
about Common Core. We
Yeah,
were
yeah,
laughing about
yeah.
Common Core the other day. We were watching them do this illustration on a chalkboard where they were doing a
It's
simple,
a math
simple
problem.
multiplication.
Right.
And they drew a box, and I was like, holy shit, dude, whatever happened to just carry the one, this is time, and so that's what brought that discussion on. And it's like, look, the problem with education is we're going down the wrong road. Everything is socially and liberally, it's all social and liberal arts now.
Well, it's
not the tenets of fundamental business or math or anything anymore.
Graham, I believe you were talking about you had a friend that was a teacher. It was either a friend or a teacher that basically said what they're trying to teach kids now is it's the journey of how you get there. And we were laughing about that and the fact of it's like, well, how does that work with, let's say, aviation? You know what I mean? If it's just the journey and you're going to Paris, let's say,
right,
but the math doesn't work out and you landed in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, is that journey quite the same as whether you made it in Paris or not?
I saw a funny meme the other day. Said, would you believe there's more planes at the bottom of the ocean than there are submarines in the sky?
Well, and to take off of what you just said about aviation is, okay, if you employ the math, the practice of Common Core math in like engineering, do you know how long it would take to build something?
Oh yeah, forever.
Oh, the stuff that got built, how fast it would fall over.
Yeah,
that's the best part of it.
That's the crazy part.
Yeah.
But with education now seems to be very subjective.
Oh yeah.
It is whatever you say it is, and that's and if you insult somebody by saying, well, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Well, they pay more
I'm
attention to
triggered. You said the S word.
Let's not focus on the fact that, okay, let's say that in concept, what you're suggesting really won't work. By even mentioning that,
Right.
that's hey, you're triggering me because you're giving me a reason to not want to be imaginative, and I'm like, okay, well, yeah, but what you're designing is something that will ultimately it will never
Kill
get
people.
off. It'll never get off the
Potentially in the
ground.
end.
Yeah, it'll kill people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's amazing the concepts that we come up with, where it's more important how somebody feels as opposed to a logical outcome to a set of numbers is where we're at in today's education system. It's really sad.
When you have noted intellectuals that speak out against all the hate that's going on right now,
Yeah.
if it doesn't fit the agenda of what the media is plugging, they just attack that guy.
Yeah.
Well, like Neil
deGrasse.
Yeah, deGrasse got wiped out. Now, there's a debatable argument about the accuracy of his statistics, but
they don't debate on that. They don't debate on that at all.
It was the fact that he said something that went against or downplayed a very horrible event. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he brought something up that...
Well, that was their interpretation
Yes,
of it. And what he was saying was, you guys are looking at this wrong.
But that's what that goes to what I was telling you about is the facts are what's relevant is whatever I say it is.
Sure. And let's not kid ourselves. They're not, okay, and this is going to sound probably not right, but it's not the fact that they're upset about the shootings as much as they see an opportunity to alter the Constitution in a way that benefits them in the future years.
Yeah.
That's why there's so much pressure being put on this. I mean, that's the fact. And when you have intellectuals that have been, as long as you toe the line, they respect you and give you awards. The minute you speak the truth against what they are trying to sell,
Right.
they want to undo the guy. Because honestly, look at drunk driving. Drunk driving kills and affects more people than just alcohol in general.
By far.
Yeah. So if you apply their
cirrhosis of the liver, I mean, look at everything. That
exactly.
hits,
But look at who benefits from the sale of alcohol. You have these very rich families that have been doing it forever. So let's just say, for example, we're going to use the pretext of what the liberals want to do. Let's just ban alcohol again.
Right.
Okay. So what happened when they banned alcohol?
There was a black market.
There was a huge black market for it, and a lot of people got killed.
Yeah.
It caused
the violence that ensued.
A lot of violence became about because of that.
Right.
So now let's just move it forward to post-Vietnam. Okay, and drugs got to be a real big problem in the United States of America. They've been fighting this battle for more than 40 or 50 years.
Right.
Have they gotten any closer? No. What has happened, though, if we look at prohibition and we look at the say no to drug movement, how many politicians are bought and paid for as a result of that? How many businesses are corrupted as a result of that? How many people are forced to do things that they don't want to do to keep their families alive?
Right.
This is the problem with ignoring the fact that it's human behavior.
That's
the root of the problem.
The core problem.
It's the root of it's that problem, and the problem is that you take 20% of the population, you're trying to drive the direction of the country based on the actions of people that are less than 1/100% of that problem. But you're ignoring the drunk driving, you're ignoring the texting while driving, you're ignoring child abuse, you're ignoring sexual slavery. You're not changing anything in the Constitution to stop that.
Right.
You're actually stopping a president that's trying to stop that coming across the borders.
Yeah, you just don't like the way he's doing it.
You don't like the way he's doing it.
Right. Well, and as a politician, it's affecting your power base. That's the problem.
Absolutely.
He's being effective, whereas you are losing.
Sure.
You see that as losing your power base.
So
it's funny. It's funny looking at the political chill that's coming out of that, because now you have politicians that are coming out and they're threatening to dox people.
Well, that's Castro. That moves us to the loser of the two brothers.
Yeah.
That goes out there and he thinks he's a smart.
Castro.
Yeah, he thinks he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
Okay, he thinks he's going to dox these guys, put the information out. Well, truth comes out that the list that he was using
donated to his.
He had Hispanic people that he exempted from the list, which
Right.
makes him a racial profiler. One.
Right.
Two, the same people that donated to Trump also donated to him. So when you look at business people that have lots of money and they have write-off capabilities,
They generally spread the wealth
they
around.
spread the wealth around
because they want favors.
Exactly. So he's a very dishonest human being.
It always has been.
Oh yeah, it's nothing new with this radical nut job.
It was funny listening at the people that had donated to him. You could tell they were biting their tongues. These were some of the business people that they were interviewing after the fact, after what he said. And they were like, well, this is all pretty silly. And they didn't want to name him directly. But it's like, this is just some silliness that's going on. And I think we need to get a hold of it. And that was the key word. They should have paid close attention to what the business people, both of them said that. We need to get a hold of this. That means no more money for you, idiot.
Yeah, he got his last donation.
Yeah,
for sure.
that was.
You're not going to invite him to a fundraiser anymore.
Right.
That's the guy that walks in the room and everybody goes, "Oh shit,
yeah,
he's here."
How did he make it here?
The thing that he and his brother have always tied themselves to is whether they're bad actors or not. The causes that they've tied themselves to almost insulates them from being ridiculed for some of the questionable.
For the time being, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
You're absolutely correct. And you know what? Do you think though? So I think it's a false sense of security that they have now. And just hear me out on this, and maybe help me out with it too. So when you control the media, and the media is pandering, we talked the other day about how the media will promote anything to keep advertisers' dollars up.
Yeah.
Yep.
The whole idea about the 24-hour news cycle, you're always seeing the ribbons running across the bottom, breaking news. So, they've really tapped into the vein of keeping your eyes glued and your ears open to what they're feeding you. They've made billions of dollars off of that. They're not going to, as society changes, they're going to follow that.
Oh, absolutely.
They
need the model. They need to know the model that they're going to promote so they can make the advertiser
And
dollar.
the content is just subject of the day or matter of the day. But who is stupid enough to step in front of a mic and say this shit? Hey, bring them on.
But they are an industry where they themselves will tell you, we are an industry that you cannot allow to fail.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's worse than the automated.
Oh, yeah.
It is for sure, because they teach you that the quest for information needs to come from what you perceive as credible.
Right.
So we sell ourselves as credible. When you come to find out, like the kids, they were interviewing kids at the El Paso in the aftermath of the El Paso massacre over there. They were interviewing kids 2 and 3 and 4 days later, and they had this one kid that CNN was trying to prop up. And I don't even think they used his stuff, because they said, "Son, you need to stay to the script." He kept saying,
"Yeah, actually, no, that kid." Yeah. Okay, so they were doing that, but that kid was with the school in Florida.
No, this is another kid.
Oh, was it?
This
okay,
is the kid in El Paso. They did the same thing to the kid in El Paso.
Okay. So there's 2 of them they've done that with now, because there was a kid.
Sure.
Because this is resurfaced. They had a kid in Florida
at Parkland. Yeah.
At Parkland. Yeah. That he came out with some questions. At first, CNN asked him to write an essay, and the kid said, "This was like a 5-minute interview on Fox." So he said, they asked me to write an essay, so I wrote the essay. And this was days before they were going to do the CNN town hall, where they basically got on there and crucified Dana Lash. But anyway, so they asked the kid, they said, write an essay. We want to read your essay online. So he wrote the essay. CNN didn't like that. So they came back to the kid and said, well, then ask them. We want you to ask questions. So the kid said, okay. And he wrote like 6 questions down for him. They sent it back. They said, okay, we only want you to ask 1 question. So the kid said, all right, I've got 1 question. And they never did get to what his question was. But the interviewer was like, so what happened next? He said, the night before, CNN called me and said, stick to the script. They actually told him the words, stick to the script. Here's your question. And they gave him the question. The kid said he was so incensed by it, he said, take my name off of it. I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
So they did the same thing in San Antonio.
In El Paso. Who was our guy from Parkland that said he was there, but he really wasn't?
David Hall.
So I heard he was at the Walmart in El Paso buying tampons.
Yeah, I saw that name. But with media tries to present themselves as Socrates when they're really the fucking court jester.
Yes, they are, and they always have been.
There is nothing serious about what they do. So yesterday I was kind of perusing Reddit. And I ran across this interesting article that called out journalism, and I posted it on my wall because it made so much sense.
Yeah, that was
good.
Very good. Yeah.
So, and I was like, and it's like, okay, there are some people that labeled that article kind of a whataboutism, and I'm like, why would you not want a journalist telling you what? Okay, if their whole job is to tell you
fact-based
what
information.
happened, yes, this happened. The sun was up. whatever.
Right.
Because I had a friend who basically said nobody gives unbiased opinion.
Yeah.
And so I had to reply, yeah, I did. From what I used to do, if I'm observing something, that is what you're going to get.
Right.
The time of day, what he was wearing, all those.
Sure. Well, and that's
that
what we were always supposed to
nothing
get from
unbiased.
AP, and that used to be what.
Yeah, it
when
used
you
to
saw
be.
news,
Yes.
that's what it used to be, and it's no longer that.
Well, it's funny because
They now wanted to become personalities.
Sure.
Right.
There was a guy in the hospital that they went to interview in El Paso, and he said, "I wish my mother had carried her gun in the
Yes.
store
Yep.
that day."
Yep.
And here's the sad fact. Okay, all this media and all this news is built to get you emotionally
Yes.
Involved.
off your center.
Yeah.
Because when you're off your center, you're going to make a rash, poor decision.
Right.
Okay.
Destabilize.
Yeah, it's basically that's all it's there for.
The
is
public.
Exactly, it's there to destabilize the public. At the end of the day, I can guarantee you can vilify the NRA, you can vilify the president, you can vilify any person of any race, color, or gender that supports the Constitution and the Second Amendment. But what you have to realize is that you can't let them unhinge you from that foundation that you bring, that security you bring. Because at the end of the day, nobody wants anybody shot and killed in a massacre style.
We're not going to defend a piece of shit.
No, that's not
at
how
all.
that's going to happen. And when it does happen, people want the real problem taken care of. And all we get is excuses upon excuses to allow people to do the crazy shit things they do to get them unhinged. And that's the problem. So at the end of the day, what you want to do is you want to stay calm, okay? You want to look at the facts. You don't want them to draw you into this argument that it's going to go away. And then they'll ramp it up some other way. Look at the things that are not being touched on. The whole Epstein thing.
Yeah, that went away, didn't it?
That went away
yeah.
real quick. And I'm not going to conspiratorialize it.
But I mean, it did.
Because it did. But you're coming into an election year, and you've got one side that is getting a bloodbath massacre on the stage by their own mouth and their own actions. I listened to them interview some Democrats the other day, and there's a great book out there. I can't remember it, but it was talking about after the Trump election. These two reporters went out and interviewed Democratic people that were in areas that did not vote in this election or for Clinton. And so they asked them, and it was basically Rust Belt. It was like Pennsylvania, Ohio,
swing states.
Yeah, the swing states.
Right.
And so they were talking to some people, and some of the things they were saying was, look, we are Democrats, and we do believe in a lot of democratic values of our time. But what's happening now is not values of our time. They're so extreme. They're so extreme to the left that we can't support that.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're not going to vote. No, we don't agree with Trump either.
Yeah.
But when you look at the effectiveness of either parties, he tends to win our votes more than they would. And so what you're hearing now is, I was listening to some radio the other day about this, and you're hearing the same effect. You've got a lot of Democrats that have a club now that says, what do they call them? Not Brexit.
The walkaways.
The walkaways.
I mean, they're calling themselves. They're It's like a Brexit party.
And then you have the Blexit.
Yeah, Blexit.
With Candace Owen and that group of people. Yeah. So honestly, the true intellectuals of the world, the true hard workers of the world, the true people that have a moral compass that stands for something right in what's going on right here, we're going to continue to do the right things, okay? The problem is the distraction these people are creating is all manufactured, okay? These social issues have been going on for a long time. Mass murders, you got a guy following presidential candidate hopefuls, saying horrible things about the other side and the people that vote for them. They need to own that, and they need to take responsibility for that, because all they're trying to do is shift the blame off of them to somebody else. And that's what's wrong with this whole thing.
Yeah.
And people are just sitting back, and they're allowing the social media to enter their ears. What they need to do is just cut that shit off. For us, it's fun.
Yeah.
Okay? It's fun. And I'm sure for many people out there, fun. But we have a lot of people on the front lines that are going out there trying to do what's right and say what's right, and we have to support them. You have law enforcement that responded relatively quick to both of those.
Both situations.
And the problem is, you don't want to turn that against the populace that would defend them.
Right.
And that's the problem I'm seeing right now, is what these people, they have a win at all cost proposition.
It's
There's no moral. They've already proven there's no moral ground for them.
Right.
And to piggyback off your police comment or as civil servant,
Yes.
there is no political agenda when they're doing their fucking
Shit,
job.
no.
When I see some shit going down, my job is to put that shit down, make it stop.
That would be any
Whereas
person, though, if you really
whereas a
think about it.
politician will go, hey, I'm going to look at all of my courses of action. Which one, and this is just my perspective, is, in my opinion, I think most of them look at it as how will this decision benefit me.
Right.
Exactly.
Sure.
And so I just want to bring this up, and we can nix it if we'd like to, but I asked a question the other day, okay, and it was about CHL people in an active shooter scene, because they were talking about this whole Walmart thing, right? Where they were saying that some Walmarts say you can't carry a firearm into a store, and a lot of these businesses. Whether you choose to patronize those businesses is clearly up to you, okay? But I will tell you, somebody asked me point blank, if I was in that store, what would I do? And I'll tell you straight up, I'm going to follow run, hide, fight.
Yeah.
Don't get confused with this whole hero thing, okay? If there's an active shooter somewhere in a situation and you're with people, you need to protect your people.
Right.
And you need to get them away from the harm.
And you don't want the threat to know that you're a threat.
Exactly. That's the problem. So if you're in a store and there's an active shooter doing what he's doing, and you have 2 or 3 CHL people that are converging on it, how do you know who's who?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then how does the law enforcement with rapid response time know who any of you are?
Right.
So, that's the one thing. I mean, I would just say heed that run, hide, fight. Do your best to get out of those situations. If you don't feel comfortable with that situation, leave.
Right.
If you don't feel like that business is providing a safe environment for you, don't patronize it. Don't go there.
Right.
It's their fault for not providing security, not your fault.
Right.
Okay? You have the right to protect yourself under the Constitution of the United States. They can't take that away no matter what they say.
Right.
But I can tell you, use your head.
Maintain your head. That's the best That's having been in that situation a couple of times.
Yeah.
Maintain your head.
And hold your elected representatives accountable.
Right.
Don't feel like you can't write them, or I don't believe in calling them. I actually like to write them, because that's really the way. But
has been a beauty of social media.
It has.
It's so simple to do.
It's
now.
instantaneous.
You have no excuse.
But just be respectful,
Yeah.
okay? Be respectful.
Be intelligent.
Yeah, be intelligent. Don't be like this side that's vilifying. I mean, we go through the list. Alyssa Milano, Ashley Judd. I got to read this correctly. Ashley Judd.
Tits Milano and Ashley Judd.
Yeah, I mean, so you have these people that go out there and they post themselves up as representatives of the face of America. They're not. You are. The listener is.
Yeah.
The people that actually take the time to try to learn something about what's going on and how to fix it, you're the ones. You're the guys that have to step up and start making sure that this stuff gets shut down, and shut down quick.